What's up? It's Mike Mal, and you are listening to the Athletor podcast, where we dive into the processes, mindsets, strategies of some of the most successful athletes and coaches from all walks of life. This week's guest is the incomparable Steve Mocco. Steve Mocco gets into a lot of different aspects of this sport. He talks about wrestling at every single level, and then now he's coaching youth wrestling as well as pro fighters. What's really interesting to me is he's also training his kids at a very, very high level. He also talks about some of the days at Blair and how similar the Oklahoma State and Iowa wrestling programs really are, despite what other people think. Steve Mocco's episode is coming at you right away. Athletor Podcast. Don't go anywhere. Legend on the mic, Steve Mocco. Thank you so much, brother. I appreciate you coming on today and spending some time with us. I really do. There was a lot of things that I want to talk about with you, but there's a couple of things that really stick out in my head. So for those of the people that are listening right now, I think they all kind of understand what you did as an athlete, but you're like eyeballs deep into coaching now too. Tell me what that's like, first of all.
Man, it's good. I coach a lot of different age groups, and obviously, like I work with a lot of fighters in the MMA side of it, and I coach them, and we run a club and have high school and youth, So it's kind of like it's a good mix. I still have like, handful of like, mixed, like college, high school and youth, and then professional athletes too.
What is your favorite age group to coach right now?
I don't really have a favorite. They're so different. Obviously, like the pro guys are they want to be there. They're dedicating their life to it. So like, it's kind of like, it's nice. But it's fun to coach the youth, and it's fun to coach the babies and the high school kids too. And sometimes like kids don't even know why they're there. You're trying to like expose them to, a sport that I love and them get into it that way. It's all kind of rewarding in their own ways,
Sure. No, that makes sense to me. I always found that like coaching the little guys kept me honest, right? Like if you don't hone in and try and get their attention, it ain't easy, bro. Like it's not easy getting their attention.
Energy and effort and them. I think it's the hard. I think it's the challengingest. Maybe not the hardest. I shouldn't say.
Sure.
But like a college wrestler knows why he's training twice a day. A professional athlete knows why they're like grinding hard, right? They have a finish line in mind. Like an 8-year-old doesn't really know. At least few 8-year-olds really know.
No, they have no idea. None of them do.
Yeah. So no, it's fun. It's fun, and it like the way you worded it is perfect. Like keeps you honest.
Keeps me honest, dude. Because here was the thing I always thought about. Like if I can get and what's tricky? Do you have any, like, for lack of a better term, white belt type fighters that you train? So those guys were always like really interesting for me to train. And I'll tell you why. Probably, and there are exceptions, of course, but probably they have the same questions that the 8-year-old does, but they can verbalize them a whole lot better. So like I always liked dealing with the white belt adults a lot because they're going through the same thing that the 8-year-old is going. They're like Bambi out there. They don't know whether they're coming or going. And it's the same thing as those 8-year-olds. But those 8-year-olds are they're tough because you gotta like shuck and jive just to kind of keep their attention a little bit,
Yeah. The adult could like realize this is going to be an hour and a half. It might not be that much fun, but I'm going to get through it. You know what I mean? Yeah. The 8-year-old's like no clue what's going on, right? So some days they're great, but
yeah. When did you start wrestling? You started at a high level pretty early, huh?
My brother was 12 years older than me, so like he was already in it heavy when I was like young. So like, yeah, I started pretty young. I mean, pretty young, like that was 11 years between us. So like all the stuff that they went through with him, they kind of like ironed out for me and my younger siblings,
He was the guinea pig, huh?
Yeah, he was. I mean, he's a great wrestler. He coached me a lot. But there definitely was like I think that the generation too, like there wasn't as much wrestling wise, youth sports, maybe club sports before that,
Sure.
It was more like it was some, but not like crazy, or like Edge and those guys I think were like some of the first,
Yeah. And we've talked ad nauseum about Ernie and here's the thing, right? Like Ernie gets a lot of the credit for starting clubs in New Jersey, and like that kind of branched out across the country.
Yeah.
But there were other cats and guys that like Wally Muhammad, who had like little thing in Newark.
I spent a lot of time with Wally, especially when I was at St. Benedict's.
Yeah. So you probably didn't know when you were young, but like that movement, because it wasn't just Wally, right? It was
yeah, no, there was a lot.
There was like Damian Hahn's dad was doing
Lakewood, yep.
Yeah.
Team Hammer.
So here's the thing.
I kind of had a parent that was like into it enough to like go to all those, even though if they weren't in our area or not in our area. So I kind of like experienced a little bit of it. And I think it was my generation that those started blossoming a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I kind of got to feel that a little bit, and I think it helps me a lot now as a coach, because like each one of those had their own kind of distinct style. And I think they were all good. I don't think like they were bad, but you could see like people are different. They respond differently, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Wally definitely had a different demographic too, right?
Yeah.
And that's good. That's a positive thing,
that's
right?
Great. Yeah.
We didn't, I was in Edison, you were up north. I went to Wally too. I didn't get to see those cats ever. And that was a different style of wrestling. And it was really, really interesting to me. What do you think? Like when you were growing up, you got to sample a lot of the, like you said, I'm not going to repeat everything that was in the documentary about you, but like your dad would like load up the van and you guys.
Yeah, no, we were into it as a family, as a whole family. We were really into it.
But what was the biggest takeaway from different places, like going to Wally, going down to Hammer? What did you, as a kid, what did you take away from like, okay, there's different ways to do this?
Yeah. I think as a kid, I didn't realize it. I think I like kind of realize it more now as an adult, if that makes sense. I think as a kid, this is what I was doing that day. I was trying to get as good at this sport, or like, for me, it was like, oh, I'm going to wrestle, right? So like, I want to get as good as I can at wrestling. But I didn't look at it like, I think now looking back on it as an adult and like coaching kids myself, I kind of see like, the both sides of it, if that makes sense,
No, it does. It does. All right. I want to get into your high school and college career a little bit, and then into your international career a little bit. But before we do, I don't know that there is anyone in the world that is more known for a foot sweep than you. Let me rephrase. Why did you develop that? Because it's not like, everyone drills single legs. Everyone drills high crotches.
Yeah.
You were drilling foot sweeps.
Yeah.
Why did that happen? How did that happen?
I mean, I think I wasn't super quick twitch, if that makes sense. Like I didn't have like a sick low single or a really deep skill set. I mean, I had offense, obviously, like I executed offense in good matches with good competitors, but like I think my style was more like conservative and positional.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I had a background in judo too. I did a lot of judo. I think that kind of helped using my legs, like even defensively.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, kind of like I drilled them a lot. I spent a lot of time doing them. One of my main coaches was Roman Ruderman. He coached at St. Benedict's. He was an NYC coach for years. He was an Eastern European. He wrestled for Belarus. Mm-hmm. And he was really into it. He was really into leg attack. So I think it was kind of like a perfect storm to develop that offense. And man, I scored with it. I scored with it. So like
You
the
scored with
shit you
it.
score with, you're gonna want to get better at, right?
Yeah, that's for
So,
sure. There's no
yeah,
question. When
yeah.
was the first time you remember dropping somebody on their head and going, "Oh no, I could do this a lot more often"?
Man, it was like I forget who it was who was legit. It was definitely like seventh or eighth grade. I wrestled. I was a bigger kid. I wrestled men a lot, and I hit it on somebody, but he was like horizontal. It was a good wrestler. It was like an NCAA All-American or like, not that year, obviously, but like
Right.
an older guy, but still
Right.
decent shape. And I hit it on him, and I was like, oh man, I can hit this on anybody.
Yeah.
It's like it's there. So it was good for me. Like it was good because I wrestled with a lot of older guys, and it's kind of was like a neutralizer in a way. You know what I mean? Like
Oh yeah.
give up 3 or 4 takedowns, but you hit them with a really nice foot sweep. They're like scratching their heads. So
Yeah.
it was kind of contagious that way.
I talk to my son about that a lot. And look, let's be completely honest. This sport has grown so much since we were kids, right? Like these kids now are so good. The skill sets that they
Yeah, it's
possess
really good.
are so good. They're so good. But I'm trying to explain to them, like, look, you got to have a go-to offense, a leg attack to both sides. You have to. Like that is an absolute must, and you have to have really good defense. But man, is it nice having something that you can go feet to back against anybody in the world. You
Yeah.
know, like it's really, really hard to develop that feel. So,
Takes a long time too.
well, that's really what I'm kind of getting at.
The tough move to just pick up. You at a camp or a clinic, it takes
Almost
some like
impossible.
investment.
Yeah.
Speaking of a tough move, what's the biggest mistake you see young wrestlers do when they're trying out their foot sweep for the first time?
Uh man, I guess like I try to like steer them in a position that they're gonna score if they don't get the foot sweep, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Like I always try to have like something to come back. Like if they pull real hard, they have something to come back with. Um I guess soft hands would
Mhm.
be a big one. Like I hate to see guys work on it, develop like a love for it, and then in a big match, take themselves out of position, put themselves on one leg, and it costs them. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Because it's a weird thing, man. Like you're purposely putting yourself on one leg. You're like cutting your balance in half. So like I guess like knowing your ties, knowing how to protect yourself with your head and your hands before you attempt it is very important, right? Like
Mm.
it's great when we get it, and that's what everybody talks about. But when it kind of sucks when you go for it in a big match and you give up the takedown, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And you're basically giving them your leg because if they're not off balance, they're taking your leg.
Yeah, it's like you're giving up 50% of your center of gravity.
Yeah.
Like you got to make it cost effective to you. Like if you put yourself on one leg, you got to be the one scoring. Like you can't put yourself on one leg and put yourself in a position to be scored on.
Yeah. You know what's funny is like I developed a foot sweep out of necessity. A buddy of mine, my one of my main training partners at the time, he had shoulder surgery. And he was like, I'm still gonna train. I'm still gonna train. But we literally spent 2 months with our hands behind our backs, just
Yeah.
trying to I would go inside trip and we would kind of like headbutt each other into like
Yeah.
that foot sweep. But sometimes it's amazing. The kids on the high school team here, they're like, how do you get that foot sweep on? I'm like, dude, I could do it with my eyes closed at this point. But you're right, it took almost 3 months of wrestling without my hands to develop that. No, there's no time to do that anymore. These kids
Yeah.
are always training for something.
Yeah.
So there's kind of like a drawback. Like, don't get me wrong. I love the schedule that we have right now, right? Like it's Super 32, it's high school season, it's World Team Trials, it's Fargo, and then there's like the duels and stuff put in there in between. But man, wouldn't it be nice if we could kind of spend a 6-week training program, a training cycle on just foot sweeps? But I don't know that that's happening anymore, Steve. I don't think it's happening.
No, you're right. Like that makes sense. Like it is something that like I tell like our kids, like this is not something that we're gonna do in practice. You know, like if you have an interest in this, like this is one of those things like you're gonna do after practice. Like I don't want to see you guys like if you really want a foot sweep, like there's no reason to jump on a treadmill or a bike and put a sweater on. Like put your sweater on and let's do this for like 20 minutes, 30 minutes. You know what I mean? And
that's all it would take.
yeah.
Like 20 minutes after, those 20 minutes are so valuable. Do you see kids in Florida committed to spending those 20 minutes after practice as much as you guys did?
We try to, because like I said, like probably the guy that definitely like impacted me a lot was like that. So like we try to run a hard practice like at about an hour and a half usually. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less, but seasonally, but typically about an hour and a half. And then we try to have like a 20 to 30-minute window after that where it's like, all right, if you want to condition, you can condition. You want to do more periods, there's clocks on the wall. You want to work on something, grab any one of the coaches. We have guys that'll jump rope, do bands, kind of visit. They'll like kind of talk more socially about technique and stuff like that. But it's basically like a 30-minute free study period in our practice. And I think developmentally that's kind of important, even if they're even if like the 8-year-olds are playing dodgeball or whatever. But it's like it's kind of like good for the high school kids just to kind of sit and talk, not on a clock, not like, you know, your 2 minutes to drill your high crotch, his 2 minutes to drill his high crotch. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Is that different? Like that lack of structure, is that different from the way that you trained when you were a kid?
I mean, I think when the way I trained when I was a kid was like, at least the like, what I feel like I advanced the most was like, obviously I trained, like we had hard practice, right? We did it, but like I felt like it was like the extra sessions that were like, I guess not, I don't want to hesitate to say social, but it was like, I guess like open hours, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Like we're talking about something, we're experimenting something, and then like, all right, tomorrow my goal is going to be to like play with this tie up or play with this defense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And try to steer the goals into that, you know?
Do you now? One of the things that amazes me about you is you've been around the greatest coaches in the world throughout your life. I mean, Buxton. I mean, it's hard to argue. He's one of the greatest high school coaches in history, right?
Yeah.
Then you go to Iowa, right? And then you go to OSU. John's no slouch. Yeah. And then Terry, when you were at the Olympic team, I mean, yeah. You've been around.
I've been blessed, man. I always like got lucky in a way to be around like sound people and have like great advice. And that those guys are famous, but I've had like great guys that people wouldn't even know too. But like I've been kind of lucky that way. Very lucky, very blessed.
Who made the biggest impact on you out of all your coaches?
You know, it's hard to say. Like, I think I got impacted a lot by a lot of coaches, you know. But I would say Roman Ruderman. He was the guy that I was saying like in high school was my main guy, but I've had a lot of impacts and all of them were substantial. Like I wouldn't say anything wasn't substantial. And that's like culturally and technically. You know, I would say technically probably Roman, but socially I've had like a lot of great role models and coaches that I could draw from and be exposed to like their philosophies. So I don't know. It'd be hard to put a name out there.
Okay. You happen to be part of what was considered probably one of the greatest high school teams around. Did you know while you were at Blair that it was that special?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could see because like it was like everybody was like because I came from St. Benedict's, and not that they weren't serious,
Just different
whatever,
level,
but
different level.
it was just like, it was like, think about having like 10 NCAA wrestlers like ranked in the top 5 in your high school room, but they're just younger. They're not that age group.
Right.
That makes sense. You know what I mean?
Right. But they're going to be.
Like, yeah, they're like NCAA All-Star match or NCAA top 5 level wrestlers. They're just younger in age than the NCAA wrestler. They're still kind of preparing and exposed to the right stuff, you know?
Yeah. Hey, it's been hard for any team, not just Blair, but for any team to duplicate the type of success that you guys had since then. Now, I have my thoughts as to why,
Yeah.
but I'm wondering if you have an idea as to why no one's been able to do that again.
Man, I didn't really think about it too much. There's some good teams that since then.
Not like that, Steve. Not like that. You guys were different, bro.
Yeah, no, I mean, like even after high school, like you could see the level was super high, you know. But what do you think? Why do you think?
I think it's you guys wrestled a Division I schedule in high school.
Yeah,
You did. Let's call it what it is.
100%.
Okay, you guys wrestled a Division I schedule while you were in high school.
Yeah.
Steve, I think you only got a handful of Division I schedules in a year that you can do for so many years. Like I just can't do it for that long.
Yeah.
Like you guys were such a special group because you did it in high school, and then you all did it in the Big Ten and the Big 12.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible now. These guys, there's only so many matches, so many high level matches that you have in your body, period. There's only so many hard weight cuts. There's only so many hard practices. There's only so many grinders that Big Ten tournament right now.
Nice.
Good luck. Good. I mean, that is just brutal stuff. I just don't know that anybody is ever going to be able to duplicate what you guys did because there's just too much stress on the body. The fact that you guys, I mean, how many surgeries have you had, Steve?
Man, I've been pretty lucky, you know, like I've had some substantial injuries, but had one surgery on my knee, but it was a staph infection. But I've been pretty no.
Espo's like 7 deep right now. You know that, right?
Yeah.
The dude was in his 20s with a cane, bro.
I was supposed to get neck surgery. I was supposed to get something on my hip, and my labrum's torn. But I kind of just didn't. I've been retired too. It's not like I'm training or fighting. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm kind of like putting it off, you know?
Yeah. But yeah, something tells me you should probably be 3 or 4 deep yourself.
Yeah.
That's amazing. All right. Going through your college career, everyone from the outside looking in thinks that Penn State probably just play wrestles all day long. Everybody thinks that Iowa just, they lift weights and live wrestle all day long. And everyone thinks that Oklahoma State, they just do elbow control technique all day long. Clear up some of the myths for us, considering that you've been at 2 of those 3 places yourself.
And I think probably it's been years now, right? I can't speak to what they do now, but it was very similar when I was at both of them. I don't know if that's, it was remarkably similar. Iowa did wrestle a lot, and Oklahoma State did focus on technique a lot, but the day-to-day schedule was pretty similar. You're going to wrestle hard at both practices. You're going to do some kind of conditioning or drill in the morning, and you're going to, warm up and get ready to go hard. And then after you go hard, you're going to work on skills and, tactics and recovery. And, for me anyway, I wasn't For me, I thought it was very similar.
It is similar, and that's the whole point. Is like,
Yeah.
it's the same shit. Let's call it like, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's just different colors you're wearing, dude.
Yeah, it's like saying, hey, they practice at 3:00 and we practice at 4:00, but
Well, that's about
it's
the
the
only
same
difference.
practice. You're waking up an hour earlier or later. You know what I mean? That's what it felt like, you know?
It's the same thing. That's what
Yeah.
people don't understand. They're like, I was so different. No, it's not. They all wrestle. It's the same shit. It's the same shit. All right. You're
There
in
might have been a time. There might have been a time before, like when Gable kind of was there, and most of those guys that coach D1 programs were at Iowa.
Mhm.
That it could have been a different from the field.
right.
But I mean, like, think about how many guys that wrestled under Gable during like the heyday of Iowa wrestling, that within 5 years or 10 years were at D1 schools.
Yeah. His coaching tree is amazing.
They're not gonna not pass on what they learned there. Or
Sure.
and the same thing with John. The same thing with John and those guys.
It's the coaching tree for both of those coaches is absolutely staggering right now.
Yeah.
Like, if you look around the NCAA, the amount of Hawkeyes and Cowboys that are at different institutions is unbelievable. And John seems to have a better relationship with his coaches that have kind of ventured out than Tom and Terry do. But I will say this. There's no lack of success there, though. Like, look at what Metcalf is doing at Iowa State, dude.
And it's
Like, those guys are good.
Yeah.
Those guys are really good. They're going to be challenged. Like, this is going to be a fun season coming up.
Yeah.
Because Iowa State is good, you know?
But let me ask you something, because I always talk about this. I like one of the coaches, Mike Brown. He's an MMA coach, but he's from a wrestling background, and we always like mess around because he'll come and watch practice or hang out while the kids are going. And how much you think it's this, like what we're talking on, like computers and the internet and social media, of how these guys are getting, like, because think about it, like probably my generation was like on the cusp of that.
Yeah, you were the last. Yeah.
So like, think about these kids today. Like my daughter, she watched every Olympic match. Any technique video that comes out, she has access to it. I'm not saying she watches it, but like
she can. Yeah.
she can, you know, like it's out
And-
there.
And not only that, but even like your social media feed, like all you have to do is like it a few times, and now you're just getting technique videos all the time, just in passing, right? Where
No,
before
that's something like Barry Davis didn't have when he was coming up. You know what I mean?
No, he did not.
You
No,
know,
I don't know. I think that definitely affects the way that these kids wrestle. Like, so okay, so literally, I'm not exaggerating. An hour ago, I was watching my son wrestle with the high school coach. Okay, the high school coach gets an underhook, and he swims out like Adam Satiev and drops into a leg. I'm like, holy shit! How did you learn how to do that? I never fucking taught him that. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So yeah, it affects. And now he didn't score. let's not get it twisted here. He did not score, but he tried to do it, right? And that's kind of cool. So it definitely affects the way that they wrestle, and it helps having video of every single Olympic match. Because I'll remember, dude, when John won his second one, my dad had to wake me up in the middle of the night to go, hey, they're showing highlights of Coach Smith's first.
You gotta watch this. Yeah.
You gotta watch it at like 2:00 in the morning, and it was on NBC. I'm not kidding. It was 2:00.
Oh, I'm with you. I know, I'm with you.
It was awful. I'm like,
I remember like getting video VHSs.
I'm like, hey, can you
like,
just
they got the Carl Adams VHS. You know, like this is like a big deal.
Yeah, that was a big deal, by the way.
Yeah.
Having that one was a big deal. But yeah, so I think it definitely expands their wrestling world, right?
Yeah.
Like my son's watching, like right now, we talked about 6-week training cycles, right?
Yeah.
He's watching a lot of, remember that guy from Azerbaijan, Asgarov? So he would have that elbow control slide by, and he's doing a ton of that. So he's watching that. He's watching So yeah, I think it expands their world. The only people that were really doing that back in the day were people that got to go over to Russia
Yeah.
and bring that stuff back
Yeah.
with them.
Yeah.
Right?
100%. Like Rovat, he
Yeah.
went over there for years, you know, like
He
kind of on the
literally
cusp of
lived.
that.
Yeah. So he lived
Yeah,
it, but there wasn't a way to just watch Satiev videos
Oh.
back then. It just didn't exist. So yeah, I think you're right.
And then you
It's a-
tack on like recovery, fundamentals, and like science. Like think like your generation, my generation was like go lift after practice, go to golds. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
now you tack on like legitimate rest and recovery stuff and speed and conditioning stuff. You're
we
gonna
had
have
no idea. We had no idea what we were doing.
I would like look for the biggest guy and ask him what he does and try and do it, you know?
That was it. And
Yeah.
we just like we did body like so we had Zach Evanesh on the podcast not too long ago. I don't know if it's even out yet, but he was one of the first ones to go, why are we lifting like bodybuilders? That doesn't make any sense. And we would go to like a Gold's gym and just do bicep curls and for what? It did not. It did nothing for our wrestling. I mean, I look good in a singlet, but aside from that, what is that?
100%.
You know, like it's just we had no idea. Yeah, the science.
Zach's got stuff online. Like any kid can plug, you know, just click on. It's free. It's like out there.
Yeah, and he's one of the best in the world. And
No, he's came down a few times. We spent a lot of time together. He's a good guy.
He's great.
Yeah.
I went to high school with him, believe it or not.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. We actually met at John Smith's camp, his intensive camp in Trenton. But Zach would get me up early for runs and shit. I'm like, what is this gorilla doing? Get the hell out of here. But he's a great dude. He's a great dude. All right. Talk to me about what it was, because we're in the middle right now. It's not gonna, this podcast isn't going to come out for a couple of weeks, but we're in the middle of the Olympic Games, and more specifically men's freestyle right now. Everyone tells me that you can make a world team, you can win a world medal, but the Olympic Games is different. It's just bigger, it's just grander, it's just there's more to it. Talk to me about what it was like in the Olympic Village, in the games, and how much different it was preparing for that event as opposed to any other event that you've ever wrestled in.
Man, the stakes are high, you know, like obviously since you're a little kid, you're thinking about that and like that's your goal, big picture, right? Like and then to make it, you're pumped up about it and you're excited. I think the matches are just matches, right? Like if you can't fall too much into that, or it's not good. I mean, today was you know, like, you know, tough to watch. That the Penn State kid, he kind of the against the Bulgarian, right? It was a tough scramble, but I mean, he's young, he got a couple more cycles in him, you know, but no, I don't think. I think if you get too wrapped up in it or make more of it than it is, it's probably not a positive. Probably just think of it as a wrestling tournament and wrestling matches the best you can. Obviously, you're like, you can go off the tracks here and there and have to reel yourself back in. It's good to have like good people around you during it, you know. But I think it's a tournament, you know, there's a lot on it, but it's a wrestling tournament.
Yeah, but you know what though, Steve? I think you don't give yourself, or maybe even the people around you, enough credit, because it's pretty easy to go off the rails, like you said, right? Like even and the best ever have done that. Like you look at Jordan, you look at JB in 2016, he'll tell you, he's like, I was not dialed in. He goes, I was not dialed in 2016. I go,
got wrapped up in kind of the pageantry of it.
Yeah, I think it was like the expectation to win was so high. Right? I mean, you think about it, right? Like the dude wins in 12, 13, and then 14, and then 15. I know he had medals in there. I know he had gold medals in there, but he had won in 15, right? He won in Vegas. So not only is he returning Olympic champion, he's returning world champion. And like, everyone
And
just
there's
expected them to win.
and
What's
there's
that?
there's the career aspect of it too, of like, if I win this tournament, that now there's a whole lot of endorsements and
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
face on NBC and the talk shows and everything else that goes along with it, right?
Yeah, because you don't get the NBC gigs from winning a world title. Nobody gives a shit, right? I mean, I know let's call it what it is, right? So what does it look like, or what did it look like when you would kind of start going in the wrong direction mentally at some of these camps? Would you like, because I've trained fighters before, and some of those cats will just go off the rails. They'll call me crying 2 weeks before, going, I don't know what I'm doing. What did it look like when you would go off the rails?
No, I went off the rails. I was lucky enough to have like people that were very familiar with me, that wanted me to succeed, to reel me back, and that could be honest with me. That's hard too, right? Like that's pretty tough. Like, probably wasn't always easy to talk to or be around at times, but they were like, they wanted me to succeed, and they were brutally honest with me. So it like was grounding, and I was blessed to have that. I could see how, like, obviously I'd never had this problem, but I could see how like that would be hard on Jordan. Like,
Sure.
Everybody talking about how, oh, he's going to be the best ever. He's going to be, you know what I mean? He's got to win a wrestling tournament, right? Like, obviously to even be on that level is such a crazy honor. I mean, he's one of the greatest we have. And, but that has to be really tough. He probably need a lot of good people around him, to like keep him grounded and honest.
Who would keep you grounded at events like that?
My brother, he stayed around me for all my life, and he always had a good way about like, and for a lot of years, I would be hesitant to even visit with him on some, because I knew he was going to be brutally honest. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes like, I don't want to talk to anybody but Joe about this. You know what I mean? Like, if he was looking for me, I knew I was like fucking up. Or part of my friend.
You're good.
But so no, like I was blessed to have him, and he definitely could see through the pageantry of it, and wasn't like playing that side of it,
He didn't believe the hype, huh?
Yeah, you know what I mean? So and it was very important for me to have that. He was with me most of my career, like in the corner.
Yeah. Oh, I remember. Yeah, it's interesting to watch, man, the dynamic of that. Now, do you take any of that when you're dealing with your sons now?
Yeah. I mean, I try to keep them honest. I try to like, let them know, especially like, obviously they're just starting out. They're not at they're basically, one's going to be a junior in high school. The other one's going to be a freshman in high school. So they're really at like they're starting the beginning of their journey. So like, I hope that we're blessed to the point where I can be brutally honest with them. But right now I'm like trying to push them technically and motivate them to do the most they can to succeed.
What is different about the way that you're bringing your sons up through the sport now? What's different about the way that you came up through the sport?
Oh man, like I don't think you could duplicate my situation easily. And I'm happy about that with my own kids personally. They definitely don't have the same motivating factors that I had, but I think it's good too in a way, because they're motivated by like their success on the wrestling mat, which is good, like, and we're blessed. We live a great life. So I'm happy about that. But there's definitely like stuff that motivated me when I was at their age or older that doesn't, I mean, like, I'm sure they're tough and they wrestle hard, but it's just a little bit different, if that makes sense.
Yeah. How though? How is it different? Meaning, what was motivating you at that age that was different? That's different than what motivates them.
Well, I wanted to get my name in the paper. Like that was my big motivation, to get my name in the paper. And it pushed me, because like people would talk about it, but for them it's like they want to put on a good show, if that makes sense.
Sure. They want to
you know, one of the things about it too is like, can't be easy to be your kid, right? Like, there's got
Yeah.
to be some expectations on them. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's hard too, man. That a lot of people don't talk about too much. It's not like, you know, but that is tough for them. But I think at this point, at their age now, they're kind of past that and they're looking to put on a show. So that was good. But like, how old's your boy?
16.
He's 16.
Yeah.
Oh, all right, all right. I thought did you say you had a younger boy or a boy you were?
No, he's 16. I got one.
Oh, so like I think then that the name thing is like younger ages.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
It's hard, but I mean it's hard any age, but
Sure.
but I think it was hard on them like 9, 10, 11 years old. Because like it's really they just like starting out. They don't really they're technically not that advanced, but like people are still looking at them like they're supposed to be, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, for
One of the
sure.
hardest things. I watched Joe Smith, John's son. I was in college. He must have been, I don't know, 9 or 10.
Mhm.
And I was like, damn, man, like, can't believe these people are talking like this at his match.
Oh, I believe that.
You know,
People
I was like,
don't
I got like really offended. Like I left. I didn't want to say anything or do anything, you know, it's like I make a scene. So I left, but I was like, it shocked me. I'm like, wow, man, like kid just started. He's like, he's been wrestling for a year and a half.
Yeah. And he's supposed to be a world beater when in actuality, he's just a kid. He's just a kid.
Yeah. He just learned how to do a stance like a year ago.
Yeah. I'll, you know, and it's unfair. It's completely unfair.
Yeah.
Of these people to have these expectations on these kids, you know, especially at 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, these kids, they're just trying to have a good time. And I think the biggest thing.
What age does that flip where like the kid says, all right, now I want to like put it, you know, like I'm trying to
get hair under their arms.
What do you think?
I think it's testosterone, dude, because he gets chesty. He's like, I'm me. I like
15, 14.
Yeah. As soon as they get hair underneath their arms,
they start getting
dude. Cool. And it's like there's an ego thing there too. A lot of times we use the word ego in a negative way, but there's a positive to having an ego too, right? Like this kid wants to go out there and prove that he's real good at this too. You know, he wants to go out there and prove your sons are real good. They're real.
Getting better. They work hard.
But here's the other thing. And this is something that I don't think was ever talked about when we were kids. They love it.
Yeah.
They love it. They love he loves it. He shakes me to get him up, you know, to get him up to the gym. I don't think like no one said that like we were supposed to like it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, well, this is what we're doing. I'm like, oh wait, do I get to like this too?
Yeah.
You know? It was different. For sure.
Yeah, it was different style, different.
But there was positives to that too, right? Like, I mean, there's a lot of people are you know, my age, your age, that are just plain old tough and can get things done when most people can't.
Yeah.
You know, and there's something to be said for that too, for sure.
Oh yeah, 100%.
You know. Do you like training your kids?
Yeah,
you do?
I love it. For me, I love it. Yeah.
Is it easier or harder than you thought it was going to be?
Man, I wish I could say it was easy, but I don't think it was easy at all. And like I think it took a lot of time to figure out how to do it best. And I'm not saying I do it well or like I figured it out, but it does take time to like. I definitely like hit some bumps. You know, over the years where like I was like, all right, this isn't working. We got to go back and do something different here. And like,
what did those bumps look like? Because I could share a couple of them too.
I mean, you know, like sometimes like taking it home with you is sometimes not good, right? Like it might be different kids respond different ways, but sometimes like when you get in the car and you shut the door, it's got to end. Like there's got to be a period and we got to start a new sentence on a different day, you know? Just because you can't finish your single leg doesn't mean you're not a good boy. You know what I mean? You're a good boy if you do your homework and you do your laundry and you listen to your mother, right? Like it's hard to to separate. Yeah, yeah,
I got a good one for you. You ready for this?
yeah.
He's training we were living in Texas at the time, and he's training at this club, and he's going in a group of 4 with a kid that he almost every time he beats the shit out of, a girl and a first-year wrestler. I'm telling you right now, my wife was in the room. Okay, she's in the wrestling room. She's watching this. This son of a bitch doesn't get one takedown. He doesn't score a point. Okay, he didn't like Steve. He didn't get a lock and hands call. He didn't get a stall call. He didn't get 1 point that entire practice. Okay, not one. And I'm sitting there like literally biting myself to not say anything, like biting myself. Yeah. And as soon as the whistle blows, I grab my shit. I get out to the car, and my wife gets in the car first. Like she sprints out to the car with me, and she looks at me. She goes, "He's okay. Don't say a word. I know you're like you want to blow up right now, but just don't say a word." And I'm like, "All right, no problem. Okay, I got it. No problem." This son of a bitch gets in the car, has the balls to close the door real hard, clap his hands, and go, "Man, I think I had a good day." I'm like, "Oh." Shit. Steve, I'm not exaggerating. I was biting myself. Biting myself to not say a word. And so sure enough, I didn't say anything. I didn't say.
That's great.
The only thing I could do was shut up, because if I said anything,
it was gonna go off. Yeah,
it was not going to be good. It was something I would have regretted for sure. But sure enough, the next night he goes out there and he has a try meet, and he texts and pins everybody, and so it's like, what. But here's the other thing too. The other side of that was the night after that, I had to go to Reno for the Tournament of Champions. And Troy Steiner was there, and he and I were talking. He has kids in it and stuff like that. And I was telling him the same story I just told you. And he's like, "Well, look, the good news is you didn't say anything, because that could have been bad." He goes, but you still can teach from this. And he said, "Go home now. It's a week later. Go home and be like, listen, you train here and you compete here, but you're never going to compete any higher if you don't raise the level of your training. You're just not." And I did, and he kind of took it to heart, and he's been, he doesn't have those brain fart practices very often anymore. So it's such a tricky thing with your kids. It's such a tricky thing, because if I'm going to be honest, I treat them differently than I treat the other athletes. I just do, because, and not better, not worse. It's just different, because I got to go home with his ass. You know what I mean? Like I got to spend time with him afterwards. It's different. It's just a different dynamic. And I wasn't sure I was going to like it. And there are parts of it that I don't like. For sure, there's parts of it that I don't like. The fact that he wants to talk about technique at the dinner table is like, no, bro, it's time for macaroni. We're not doing that right now, dude. Yeah. So, but I do like it more than I thought I would.
It's a blast. I love it. And my 2 boys couldn't be more different personality wise.
Really.
And different things motivate each one of them differently. So it is like a juggling act. I mean, like, I feel for anybody who coaches their kid. Like, there's definitely, like I said, there's not like a playbook for it. And, we should start a group.
For sure. A support group.
Yeah, support group.
Yeah. All right. Joel Shaw, you got anything before we get to our quick questions?
Take it home.
All right, let's bring it home. All right, here's the deal. Try to fire off the answers as quickly as you can. Don't think too much about these. You ready?
Yeah.
All right. What's the best wrestling shoe of all time, Steve Mocco?
Asics.
Which ones though?
Oh, shit. The Rulons.
Ooh, okay. That's another one. We got a bunch of those. I like that. All right. Here's the deal. Oh, wow. Are those black and gold Rulons?
Wow.
Oh, sick. Those are pretty nice, dude. Did you just get those, Joel? And why have I not seen you wear them? Because I'm going to jack those from you.
They're from college. They're blown out.
Awesome. All right. You only get 4, and they got to be American, who's on your Mount Rushmore of wrestling?
Gable,
Uh-huh.
Schultz,
Mm.
John,
Mm-hmm.
and Kale.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good list. I like that you had them prepared there too. That was really good. All right. Last question. You get a magic wand and you get to change one thing about the sport of wrestling. What would it be?
Man, one aspect of the sport of wrestling.
You do whatever you want. You get to wave a magic wand and it changes tomorrow.
More money.
More money. I like that. It's certainly
There is more money now, but I wish the
real money.
Wish it was like the NFL or the NBA or something.
Yeah. All right. Very good. Steve Mocco, thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, thanks, Cole.
Really appreciate it.
No, I had a blast.
Awesome, man. All right. Thank you very much, brother. We'll talk to you real soon.
I talk to you.
Wait. Don't go anywhere. Before you hit that next button, if you enjoyed listening to this episode, do us a huge favor. Click that subscribe button. And if you're so inclined, leave a review and share it.
What you wanna know, man? Welcome to the show.